The city was alive, but it was a city of giants. Massive alien beings walked the streets, towering over small buildings. Ships flew between skyscrapers, glowing trails cutting across the sky. Strange machines hummed, and neon signs in alien languages flashed everywhere. In the middle of all this chaos, a small alien child walked alone. The child was tiny, fragile, and clearly out of place. Its large eyes looked around nervously. People and aliens passed by without noticing. Some stepped over the child. Some ignored it completely. Some looked with indifference. No one stopped to help. The child clutched a small bundle tightly, holding something precious. It shivered slightly in the cold, metallic wind of the city. It tried to follow the flow of the crowd, but the crowd ignored it. High above, a human ship hovered. The humans had come for trade and research, visiting different planets to study life in the galaxy. One human, a young woman named Clara, peered down at the city streets. She noticed the child immediately. Something about it felt wrong. The aliens ignored the child completely. It looked scared, alone, and vulnerable. Clara frowned. She had seen many alien species, but she had never seen such indifference. The city moved like a river of giants, and the child was like a small leaf in the current, lost and unnoticed. "This isn't right," Clara whispered. She felt a pull toward the child, a need to help. Other humans in the ship noticed her staring. "Who are you looking at?" one asked. "That small alien child down there," Clara said. "They are alone. No one is helping them." Her friend shook his head. "Don't get involved. That's not our problem. Let them deal with it." Clara shook her head. She couldn't. Something about the child's eyes, full of fear but also a hint of hope, made her step forward. She had made a decision. She would help. The city streets were dangerous. Giant alien feet could crush easily. Machines could move unpredictably. The child was walking into danger and no one noticed. Clara landed softly among the crowd, careful not to attract attention. She moved with purpose, weaving through the aliens, keeping her eyes on the child. She noticed a predator-like creature, a large alien moving toward the child. It was curious, maybe hungry, but no one else seemed to care. Clara quickened her pace. "Don't hurt them," she muttered under her breath. She had no weapons, just courage. All she could do was get close and protect the child. The child paused, sensing something different. It looked up and saw Clara. For the first time it felt noticed. A small smile appeared, barely visible. The child reached out hesitantly. The alien crowd continued moving around them, indifferent. Some glanced at Clara but thought nothing of her actions. The city had seen so much, it had become blind. Clara knelt down carefully, keeping her hands visible. "Hey," she said softly. "You're not alone anymore. I'll help you." The child's eyes widened. It had never experienced kindness in this place. Slowly it took a step toward her. A loud clang echoed nearby as a massive machine moved unexpectedly. The child froze. Clara stepped forward, shielding the child with her body. "Stay behind me," she said quietly. The aliens above and around them didn't care. They continued their business, ignoring the tiny human and alien below. Clara looked at the child. "You're brave," she said. "But we have to be careful. The city isn't safe." The child nodded slightly. It trusted her. That trust gave Clara courage. As they moved forward, Clara noticed others watching. Small alien children hiding behind corners, observing silently. No one stepped forward, no one helped. It seemed that the entire galaxy had turned a blind eye. Clara clenched her fists. She understood something important. One human could make a difference. One act of courage could change everything. The child followed her cautiously. Together they moved through the chaos of the city. Clara's eyes never left the child, and the child's eyes never left hers. Above them, alien ships moved silently, and the city continued its indifferent flow. No one noticed them. No one cared. But Clara knew that even one human could change what the galaxy ignored. And this small, fragile alien child might be the beginning of something important. As they reached a quieter street, Clara paused. She looked at the child. "You're safe, for now," she said. "But we have a long way to go." The child nodded and for the first time felt hope. And in that moment the galaxy began to change, not because it wanted to, but because a human decided to step forward. Clara led the small alien child through quieter streets. The city was still alive with activity, but now the danger was clearer. Massive alien merchants, armored enforcers, and strange machines moved around them. Every step could be deadly if they weren't careful. The child clung tightly to Clara's hand. Its eyes darted everywhere, nervous and fearful. Clara felt the child's small heartbeat against her palm. It was fragile, and yet there was a spark of courage inside it. Clara slowed down and observed the city carefully. She noticed the rules of this alien society. The giants paid attention only to power and status. Those who were weak, small, or young were ignored, or worse. They don't care about you, Clara whispered to the child. They see you but they don't see your worth. We have to be careful but we can change that. The child looked up at her, unsure if it could believe her words. Clara scanned the streets further. She noticed alien enforcers walking in rigid formations. They controlled traffic, monitored citizens, and punished those who broke the rules. If they noticed the child alone, it could be in serious danger. A group of merchants passed by, carrying crates that glowed with unknown energy. They stepped over small creatures, ignoring their cries. Clara realized the child was not only ignored, it was invisible to the galaxy. Her mind raced. How could she keep the child safe in a city that didn't care? She began forming a plan. First we observe, she said softly. Watch how they move, where the dangers are, and where we can hide. We'll only act when we know it's safe. The child nodded, trusting her judgment. Clara felt a quiet pride in its trust. Even though the city ignored the child, Clara had noticed. Even though no one else cared, she did. They moved slowly through alleys, avoiding the main streets. Clara noticed strange alien technology, security cameras, drones, and automated patrols. All of it was designed to watch, control, and enforce rules. None of it had noticed them yet. She crouched beside the child, pointing to a distant patrol. See them? They follow patterns. Watch and learn. We move when they turn away. Timing is everything. The child nodded and tried to pay attention. Its small face was serious, as if it understood the danger. Clara saw other humans in the city moving cautiously. Some traded goods, others studied alien life. She realized she could not rely on other humans to intervene. It was her responsibility alone. She noticed moments of danger around every corner. A crate toppled nearby, narrowly missing the child. An alien enforcer stomped past, its attention elsewhere. Clara whispered, "We have to be clever, not strong. We survive with our minds, not our fists." The child's eyes widened. It had never seen someone act with such calm determination. The galaxy may have ignored it, but Clara did not. And that small difference was enough to give the child hope. They paused near a market stall. Clara observed the traders' movements, noting which paths were safe and which led to crowded streets or dangerous machinery. She pointed to a narrow side passage. "This way," she said. "It's safer and no one watches here. We can move quietly." The child followed, stepping carefully. It had begun to understand the human's guidance. It was learning how to survive in a galaxy that refused to notice it. As they moved, Clara considered the bigger picture. The child was not just any alien, it was unique, small, and overlooked. But perhaps it had potential that no one else could see. The galaxy ignored it, but Clara had noticed. And that notice could make all the difference. Suddenly, a shadow passed above them. A drone hovered silently, scanning the street. Clara froze. She pulled the child into the shadows, hiding behind a metal crate. The drone hovered for a moment, its sensors scanning the area. Clara held her breath. The child's small body trembled slightly. After a tense moment, the drone moved on. Clara exhaled slowly. "We have to be careful," she whispered. "But danger is everywhere. If we act smart, we can protect you." The child looked at her with wide eyes, trust growing. It had never had someone stand up for it before. Clara realized that one human step, one act of bravery, could change everything. As they continued moving through the alien city, Clara's mind formed a clear plan. Observe. Protect. And maybe, just maybe, one small human could make the galaxy notice the child for the first time. The city remained unaware of their small rebellion. The giants walked by, the drones patrolled, and the machines hummed. No one cared. But Clara cared. And that was enough. The city streets seemed endless. Clara moved carefully, guiding the small alien child through narrow alleys and quiet corners. The child's tiny hand clutched hers tightly. Its eyes scanned every shadow, every passerby, every glowing machine. It had never felt safety before, but now it trusted her completely. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed nearby. A group of alien enforcers, massive and armored, had noticed the child wandering alone. Their glowing eyes scanned the street. They began moving toward the child, their footsteps heavy and dangerous. The child froze. Fear washed over it like a tidal wave. Clara crouched low, putting herself between the child and the enforcers. "Stay behind me," she whispered. "I won't let them hurt you." The enforcers stopped a few feet away. One of them raised a clawed hand pointing toward the child. "They should not be here," it said in a deep mechanical voice. "They are weak. They are alone. Remove them." The other humans in the city noticed what was happening, but no one stepped forward. They were afraid or indifferent or convinced the enforcers would win. Clara took a deep breath. She realized that this was the moment of truth. Either she would act, or the child would be harmed. Her first step was careful but firm. She moved forward, keeping her hands visible. "I'm not afraid of you," she said clearly, her voice steady. "I'm protecting this child." The enforcers tilted their heads, surprised. No human had ever spoken to them this way before. They expected obedience or fear. Instead they saw courage. One enforcer lunged toward the child. Clara stepped quickly, placing herself in the way. She grabbed a loose pipe from the ground, swinging it in a wide arc, not to attack but to block. The enforcer hesitated, confused by her determination. The child peeked from behind her, its eyes wide with awe. It had never seen anyone stand up like this. It had never felt protected. Clara's courage was contagious. Another enforcer moved closer, but Clara used clever strategy instead of strength. She pointed to a nearby stack of crates. With careful timing, she pushed one crate toward the enforcer's path. It tripped over the crates, giving Clara and the child a chance to move. The human onlookers whispered among themselves. Some were impressed. Some were frightened. But none dared intervene. Clara kept moving, keeping the child close. The enforcers tried to follow, but the human was faster, smarter, and more adaptable than they had predicted. She knew the streets, she noticed patterns, she used the environment. Every move was calculated. Finally, they reached a quiet alley. The enforcers stopped at the entrance, unsure how to continue. Clara and the child were out of immediate danger, for now. The child looked up at her, eyes shining. "You saved me," it said softly. Its voice was barely audible, but it carried wonder and gratitude. Clara smiled. "I will keep protecting you," she said. "We'll be safe together. You're not alone anymore." For the first time, the child felt a spark of hope. The galaxy had ignored it for so long. No one had cared. But now, one human had stepped forward, and everything felt different. Above them, alien drones hovered, observing the situation. The enforcers reported back. The human had acted unexpectedly. "She is clever. She is bold. She refuses to follow rules. She is dangerous, in a way we did not predict." Clara didn't know the drones had reported her actions. She only knew she had done what she needed to do. One small step of courage had made a difference. As they moved deeper into the alley, Clara whispered plans to the child. "We have to stay smart. We can hide, observe, and learn. The galaxy may ignore you, but I will not." The child nodded, feeling a warmth it had never felt before. It had someone who believed in it. Someone willing to face danger to protect it. Clara realized something important. This was bigger than just one child. This was about courage, intelligence, and the power to change the way the galaxy sees things. The human had taken the first brave step. The galaxy had ignored the child, until now. And one small act of courage could begin to change everything. Clara and the small alien child moved cautiously through the narrow alleys. The city seemed quieter now, but the calm was dangerous. Hidden threats lurked in every shadow. Stray machines hummed quietly, drones hovered silently above, and patrols moved unpredictably. The child's small hand clutched Clara's tightly. Its eyes were wide with nervous curiosity. Every noise, every shadow made it flinch. Clara knew they were not yet safe. Suddenly, a loud clang echoed from a nearby street. A gang of alien scavengers appeared, noticing the child. They were bigger, stronger, and more aggressive than the enforcers from before. Their eyes glowed with a predatory intelligence. Clara stepped in front of the child. "You stay behind me," she whispered. Her heart raced, but her mind was calm. Fear would not guide her actions, strategy would. The scavengers moved closer. They had clearly assumed the child would be easy prey. Clara noticed their patterns, the way they moved, their weak spots, the timing between their attacks. She whispered instructions to the child. "Stay still. Watch carefully. Don't make sudden moves." The child obeyed, hiding close to her. Clara picked up a loose metal rod, holding it like a shield. She didn't want to fight. She wanted to protect. Her intelligence and courage were her weapons. The scavengers lunged, but Clara used clever timing. She knocked over a stack of crates in their path. One scavenger tripped. Another hesitated, unsure of the sudden obstacles. "Now," Clara whispered. She grabbed the child's hand and sprinted down a narrow passage. The scavengers tried to follow, but the alley was too tight. They slowed, unable to navigate the obstacles as quickly as Clara and the child. A drone appeared overhead, scanning the alley. Clara froze, pulling the child into the shadows. The drone hovered for a moment, its sensors scanning. Then it moved on. The child looked at her with wide eyes. "You saved me again," it whispered. Clara smiled. "This city is dangerous," she said. "But we are smarter. We are careful. And we are together." She realized something important. The galaxy ignored the child, but Clara's presence had changed everything. One human had taken a step. One human had shown courage. One human had made a difference. As they moved further, Clara observed the environment. She noticed hidden dangers, broken machinery that could fall, pools of strange energy, and narrow ledges over deep drops. The city itself had become a trap. She devised a plan. They would move slowly, watching every step, using observation and timing to avoid danger. Every hazard could be predicted if they paid attention. The child learned quickly, mimicking her movements and listening carefully. But danger was not finished. A patrol of alien enforcers appeared ahead, their weapons glowing. They had noticed the child, and this time they were prepared to act. Clara's heart pounded. She had no choice but to face them. She whispered to the child, "Stay calm. Follow me. Watch the openings." Using clever distraction, Clara threw a small object to the side. The enforcers turned instantly, their attention diverted. She guided the child silently past, keeping to shadows and quiet corners. The enforcers noticed too late. Clara and the child had vanished into the maze of alleys. Their small bodies were hidden, protected by intelligence, courage, and quick thinking. Finally, they reached a slightly safer street. The child looked at her, eyes full of awe and gratitude. "You are very brave," it whispered. Clara smiled softly. "I'm not brave," she said. "I'm careful, I observe, I think. Courage is more than fear, it is knowing when to act." The city continued around them, unaware of their small rebellion. Giants passed by, machines hummed, and drones moved silently. No one had noticed that a human had stood up against danger to protect a small, ignored child. Clara knew this was only the beginning. The child had survived the hidden dangers, but bigger challenges were ahead. The galaxy still did not care. But one human step had already begun to change everything. She squeezed the child's hand. "Remember this," she whispered. "You are not alone. Not anymore. And we will keep moving together." The galaxy might ignore them, but Clara had shown that one human could make a difference. The child's life had changed because of courage, intelligence, and determination. Clara and the small alien child had survived the hidden dangers of the city. But the streets were still full of threats. Enforcers, scavengers, and drones continued to patrol relentlessly. Every step forward could bring a new challenge. The child looked up at Clara, its small hands trembling. I want to help," it whispered. Clara smiled softly. "You already help by being brave," she said. "But together we can do even more." Clara realized that she could not protect the child alone forever. They needed allies, humans and perhaps even aliens who were willing to care. She moved cautiously, guiding the child through hidden paths and quiet streets. Along the way they encountered other humans, traders, travelers, and researchers. Most avoided them, but Clara noticed a few who paused, curious about the small alien child. One young human trader approached carefully. "I see what you're doing," he said. "You're protecting the child." Clara nodded. "It's dangerous, but we must," she said quietly. "Will you help?" The trader hesitated, glancing at the busy streets and massive enforcers. I can try," he said finally. Encouraged, Clara continued. She found more humans willing to quietly assist, some distracting patrols, some observing from high rooftops, and others bringing small supplies. Each human ally added strength and intelligence to their small group. Even some aliens began to notice. They had ignored the child before, but Clara's bravery was impossible to miss. Some smaller, younger aliens whispered among themselves, curious about the human who defied the galaxy's rules. One brave alien stepped forward, offering guidance through the maze-like city. Clara smiled. "It is working," she whispered to the child. "Others see what we see. We are not alone anymore." But danger was never far away. A patrol of enforcers approached a street where they had just hidden. Clara quickly guided the child into the shadows. Her new allies followed, using clever distractions to divert attention. One human threw a glowing crate into the opposite alley. The enforcers turned instinctively. The child's small hands gripped Clara's, its eyes wide with awe. This was teamwork. This was courage multiplied. Clara realized that what the galaxy ignored, the child, was beginning to matter because humans and a few allies had chosen to act. Even small actions could change the course of events. As they moved forward, Clara shared simple instructions with her allies. Watch patterns. Distract when necessary. Protect the child. Observe and learn. Every small success built confidence. The child began to understand basic strategies, mimicking movements and helping when it could. It was no longer just protected, it was learning. Above them, drones hovered silently. They monitored the group, unaware that humans had begun to work together. They assumed the child and its protector would fail alone. They underestimated the power of courage and collaboration. Clara glanced at the child. You see, she said, when humans and even a few others act together, we can change what seems impossible. The child nodded, understanding in a way that it had never felt before. It had once been ignored, invisible, and powerless. Now it was part of a small network of bravery, learning, and intelligence. The enforcers moved closer, their weapons glowing and ready. Clara's allies acted quickly, throwing obstacles, creating diversions, and guiding the child through safe paths. The patrols were confused, their efficiency disrupted. The humans' cleverness and teamwork allowed them to escape yet another dangerous encounter. Clara felt a surge of pride. One small human act of courage had inspired others. It had started a ripple of bravery and intelligence that even the galaxy could not ignore. The child looked up at Clara. I feel strong, it said. You taught me, it whispered. Clara smiled. No, she said. You taught yourself. You learned to be brave. And we helped each other. As they moved into a slightly safer part of the city, Clara realized something important. The galaxy may ignore the weak and small. The galaxy may look away from injustice. But when one human steps forward, courage multiplies. And even the smallest child can be protected, respected, and empowered. Clara squeezed the child's hand. Together we will face whatever comes next, she said. Others will join. Courage spreads. And the galaxy will notice. The city continued its noisy chaos around them. Giants passed by, drones patrolled, and machines hummed. But the small group of humans, allies, and the once ignored child moved forward with purpose. And for the first time, the galaxy began to feel the ripple of change. Clara and the small alien child had moved far from the busy streets. They were no longer alone. Other humans and a few brave aliens had joined them, forming a small, determined group. Together, they had protected the child, outsmarted patrols, and avoided dangers in the city. But now, a larger threat emerged. Alien leaders had noticed the disruptions. The patrols reported a human protecting a child, and they were furious. Massive ships descended, casting shadows over the streets. Armored enforcers marched forward, their weapons glowing ominously. The leaders demanded the child be handed over immediately. This human has interfered, one of them said. They cannot continue. Remove the child and punish the human. Clara stepped forward calmly, shielding the child. She did not flinch, even though the enforcers outnumbered them by far. I will not hand over the child, she said clearly. You cannot frighten me. I am protecting someone who is innocent, weak, and ignored by the galaxy. I will not leave them to danger. The alien leaders tilted their heads, surprised. They had expected fear. They had expected surrender. They had expected obedience. Instead they saw courage. They saw intelligence. They saw a human willing to risk everything for what was right. One leader stepped forward. You cannot defy the laws of this city, it said. You are insignificant. Surrender now or the child will face punishment. Clara held the child close. I am not insignificant, she said. Even one human step can change the galaxy. You may ignore the child, but I will not. I will protect them no matter what you do. The leaders exchanged uneasy glances. They had never faced such defiance from a human. They were used to species that obeyed or fled, not species that acted with courage and strategy. Clara observed the leaders carefully. She noticed small details, the timing of their gestures, the way their attention shifted, the hesitation in their voices. She realized that even against overwhelming odds, intelligence and careful action could make a difference. Look at them, Clara whispered to the child. They ignore you, but they notice now. They cannot ignore courage, cleverness, and the will to do what is right. The child nodded, its eyes wide with understanding. For the first time, it felt truly protected and respected. It had survived the streets, the enforcers, the dangers, and now it had faced the highest authority of the city. Clara took a step forward, raising her head proudly. I will not fear you, she said. I will not let the weak be crushed. One human can stand for justice even when the galaxy turns away. One human can protect what others ignore. The leaders murmured among themselves. Some were angry. Some were confused. But all were forced to acknowledge the human's courage and moral strength. A younger alien, part of the leadership council, stepped forward hesitantly. They are right, it said softly. The child has value. The human's courage shows a quality we have never seen. Perhaps we have been blind. Clara looked at the child and smiled. You see, she said. When one human acts with courage, others notice. And even the galaxy begins to see what it ignored. The leaders finally withdrew slightly, realizing that punishment would only escalate the situation. They could not break the child's protector without risking chaos and embarrassment. Clara and the child, along with their allies, moved carefully away from the leaders. The city seemed quieter now. The leaders had stepped back, but the message was clear. The human had changed the perception of the child and in doing so had begun to change the galaxy. The child looked up at Clara. I feel strong, it whispered. You helped me. You made me brave. Clara knelt down. No, she said softly. You are brave because you survived, because you learned, and because you trusted me. We protect each other. That is the strength of courage and intelligence. Above, drones and ships continued to hover, observing silently. The enforcers had been forced to respect the human and the child. The galaxy, which had ignored the weak and small, had been reminded that courage and moral strength cannot be overlooked. Clara squeezed the child's hand gently. This is only the beginning, she said. One human step can change what an entire galaxy ignores. We have shown them that even the smallest, weakest being has value, and that courage can rewrite the rules. The child's eyes sparkled with hope. For the first time, it understood that it was not alone, and that its life mattered. The city remained busy and indifferent to most, but the small group had achieved something extraordinary. They had faced the judgment of the galaxy, and had survived. One human, one brave step, and the ignored child had changed everything. Clara and the small alien child stood in a quiet street, surrounded by their allies. The city continued its busy rhythm, giant aliens walking, machines humming, and drones hovering silently above. Yet the attention had shifted. The galaxy had noticed something it could no longer ignore. The child looked at Clara with wide, trusting eyes. I feel safe, it whispered. You saved me. Clara smiled softly. No, she said. You survived. You learned. And together we protected each other. The alien leaders and enforcers had withdrawn, forced to recognize the courage and intelligence of the human who refused to obey their authority blindly. They had expected fear, weakness, and surrender. Instead, they had seen strategy, bravery, and moral strength. Even some smaller aliens, once silent observers, began to speak quietly among themselves. This human shows qualities beyond our understanding, one said. They protect the weak. They act with courage. Perhaps there is more to this species than we thought. Clara observed the city carefully. She realized that one human step had changed more than just the child's life. It had altered perceptions. It had challenged assumptions. It had demonstrated that humans were not to be underestimated. The child stepped forward slightly, its small form brimming with newfound confidence. You believed in me, it said softly. Even when everyone else ignored me. Clara shook her head. I only acted. You believed in yourself. You survived. Courage is not just in action. It is in learning, in trusting, and in rising above fear. Above them, drones hovered silently. The enforcers reported back. The human had defied expectations. They had anticipated failure, submission, or retreat. Instead, they witnessed courage, intelligence, and moral strength that had no equal. One of the alien leaders approached cautiously. They are extraordinary, it said slowly. No species we have observed acts like this. They do not seek power, wealth, or dominance. They protect the weak. They act with courage and intelligence. We underestimated them. Clara nodded silently. She had not done this for recognition. She had done this because it was right. Because the child mattered. Because even one human step could change what the galaxy ignored. The child looked up at Clara. I want to be like you, it said. Brave and smart. Clara smiled. You already are, she said. You survived. You trusted. And now the galaxy must see your worth. The smaller aliens around them began whispering to one another. Some older aliens observed quietly, acknowledging the courage displayed. Even the enforcers seemed hesitant to interfere further. Clara realized that humans were more than just another species in the galaxy. Humans were thinkers, learners, and protectors. Strength was not measured only by size, weapons, or numbers. Strength was measured by intelligence, adaptability, courage, and moral conviction. The city's chaos continued around them, but for Clara and the child, a new order had begun. One human had taken a brave step. One human had stood against fear and authority. One human had shown that even the weakest and smallest beings mattered. The child's eyes sparkled with hope. It had survived the indifference of the galaxy. It had learned to trust. It had discovered courage. Clara squeezed the child's hand. "This is only the beginning," she said. "One brave step can change everything. We have shown that humans care, that humans act, and that humans will rise when others ignore injustice." Above, alien ships and drones moved silently. The galaxy had witnessed something remarkable. A human had changed the course of events not through power, but through courage and intelligence. The child took a deep breath, looking around at the city that had once ignored it. Now it felt seen. Now it felt valued. Now it felt safe. Clara looked at the horizon. Humans were still few in the galaxy, still small in number. But their actions had left a mark. One human, one step of bravery, had proven that humanity was extraordinary. The alien leaders would not forget this day. The enforcers would report it for generations. Even the smallest, weakest, and most overlooked beings had value, and humans had the courage to protect them. Clara smiled. The child looked up and smiled back. The galaxy had ignored the child. Until a human took a brave step. And in that step, humanity proved its strength.